Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and our special guest today is one of our special friends, and you've seen him on Good Morning America, you've seen him on Fox and Friends, you've seen him on The View, you've seen him on the Today Show, you've seen him in seminars, you've seen him in DVDs, he's written over 30 books, and most of the time when you do see him, he's always in a nice sweater, always has loafers and wild socks, and his hair is combed. But today he's demonstrating what it's like to be a parent of a child in middle school. Dr. Kevin Leman's with us. Hi, buddy.
You know, not many people get to see me on my deathbed, but yes, you're seeing me live at theDove, theDove, on my deathbed. Here I am. I've been released by the hospital just 8 days ago, and I have a brand new titanium knee. So this is it. This is the only way I could get comfortable. So I'm sitting in my family room. My bride is out in the kitchen making a cup of coffee. But it's a pleasure to be with my dear friend Perry, and hearing Steve Johnson in the background on the news. It just makes me envious of Medford, the Rogue River, Steelheads, and the wonderful people that listen to KDove. You guys have such a unique operation there, and you make such a difference, and there's such a sense of realness. I just always feel treasured, blessed, and welcome at KDove. I want you to know that.
Well, you are a treasure. Hey, listen, hopefully your knee will be okay for the cruise. Tell us about it.
Well, I got the new titanium knee, and we have this cruise that we do every year called the Wit and Wisdom Cruise. And this year I do it with Dr. Tim Kimmel, who is an excellent speaker. And I do it with the funniest man alive, Dennis Swanberg, who makes me laugh. Now, you know me, you've known me for years. I can make anybody laugh, even in the Rogue River. But to get me to laugh at other people really takes some doing. And Dennis Swanberg is one of those people. I've always said he does impressions of Billy Graham better than Billy Graham ever did of himself. And he is just so funny. And so we have this cruise coming up February 21 through 28. And I just want people to know in the Rogue River Valley that if you want in, you need to have a deposit in, just a deposit. You don't have to pay for the whole thing. By November 26th, you can do that by simply calling 800-334-2630. 800-334-2630. And we'd love you to come on board. The only qualification I ask is this: are you a fun person? If you're a fun person, we'd love to have you. If you're not a fun person, please stay home.
There you go. You heard it right here on the Dove with Dr. Kevin Leman. Well, buddy, I didn't know that you had a new knee, and it's amazing how we talk about body parts more than anything else the older we get.
You know, isn't that the truth? You get together with friends, and after about a half hour of discussion, you figure it out. You just went around the table and shared all of your ailments.
Yeah.
But the good news is, you know, my speaking schedule is packed, and I'm thankful that I still get invites to churches who want me to come and do life-changing events for them. So I still love what I do. The travel I still hate, but I do it. And but I'll be back. The doc says I'll be full speed in less than 2 weeks. So I'm glad to know that's coming.
All right. Kevin, thanks for your time. You've written a lot of books, all of them bestsellers, but this one you really hit a nerve at a very appropriate time. We do a lot of things here at the Dove, and a lot of our question comes from parents who are pulling their hair out with kids today. I'm sure going to middle school today is a whole lot different than when you and I went to middle school, the pressure on these kids. And your new book, Planet Middle School, what led you to do this?
Well, it's the one area where I get pummeled with questions like, Dr. Leman, we had this great kid. We brought him up in the church. She went to Awana, and it was like one day we opened the door and this alien walked in the room with whatever. Yeah. And they're horrific. They're horrific. They're wonderful. They're joyful. And yet thoughts of committing felonies on your own children enter your mind when you go to the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, because it's a time where it's a perfect storm, Perry. You got the kid is beginning to pull away, which is developmentally appropriate behavior. Let me point that out. But as soon as the parents see this kid who's all of a sudden sullen and got an attitude and all that, they just clamp down. And we become the Pharisees of the land, where we get all these rules and we get over-exercised, and we lose the opportunity to have the relationship with our kid that we need to have. Now, to wit, you're in your home and the music is literally making the house tremor just a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
And your 8th grade daughter is down the hallway. Now, all right, Leman, what's your suggestion? Here it is. Now, if you're driving, hang on to the wheel, okay? Go down that hallway, knock on the door. Honey, could you turn that up? Now, your kid's going to look at you with, what? Honey, could you turn that up a little bit? And the kid will go over and turn it up a little bit because they're dumbfounded. Now, when the kid does that a little bit, just say, could you do that a little louder? Now, again, you got your kid's attention, but listen to what you're going to say. Hey, honey, you know, I know you're busy right now, but sometime in the future, I'd love to have a discussion with you about this group, because if you're playing that music that loud, you must really love them. I'd like to know more about them. Turn around and walk away. Now, what I'm suggesting is this. You had better meet your 6th, 7th, and 8th grader on the turf that they're walking through, or they're going to systematically just shut you out of their life, which kids are very, very good at today.
You talk a lot about, in this book, the attitude of gratitude. Explain that.
Well, I've come to the conclusion. The book is loaded. I've looked at reviews on Amazon, and they're all 5-star, which I'm glad to say. Again, I think the book does scratch where parents itch today. But when I sit in solitude by myself and I say, okay, Leman, what's the one thing that has to be accomplished during this 6th, 7th, and 8th grade? It is developing an attitude of gratitude. And these kids, quite frankly, they're not grateful for anything. And by the way, your kid wouldn't have underwear on today, parent, if you didn't buy it for him. Mm-hmm. But is there any sense of gratitude in your home for what you provide for your children? The answer is undeniably no. So how do you get kids to feel grateful? By service to other people. There was a guy named Jesus, I forgot his last name, but his first name was Jesus, who washed some feet to prove a point. And kids need to do some washing of feet in their home, and more importantly, outside of their home. What I'm suggesting is the kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade need to be involved on a daily basis in servicing other people. There are people in your neighborhood, elderly people, who could use your help at raking leaves, shoveling snow, taking garbage down to the street, whatever. Get your kids off of their self-centered lives. And kids today are terribly hedonistic. They're entitled to the max. And unfortunately, some of their parents today, these young parents that are bringing up kids, they grew up in La La Land too, where everybody gets a trophy, everybody's a winner, and it's crazy. So you need to be able to get your kids to be grateful. And some of the ways you get kids to be grateful is when they get their mouth going, okay, and your 8th grader, you know, 4-letter words you, mom or dad, what do you do? What do you do at that point? I know you cry, I know that, because I hear from you all the time. But what do you do after that? Let's say your 8th grader is a star athlete at the school, and they have a game that day. I'll tell you what I would do. I'd call school, I'd put it in an email form, and I would say, my son does not have my permission to play in that game tonight. In other words, you better go after the jugular vein on these kids so that they're going to pay attention to the fact that you're not going to take their emotional abuse or disrespect from their young lips.
Wow. All right, let me take a break. Let Sandy bring you that cup of coffee. And when we come back, I want to talk to you about, there's another element in raising kids today that wasn't even on the radar screen when you and I were their age, and that is called technology. And they're all plugged in, kind of like you are right now. We'll be right back with Dr. Kevin Leman in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Welcome back, and our special guest today is our good friend Dr. Kevin Leman. And when you see him, first of all, he's terrific. He writes all kinds of books and does seminars. He's about ready to do a cruise coming up in February. And if you'd like to be a part of that, you may want to jot this number down, 800-334-2630. And we'll give you some more information on that in a moment. But today we're talking about his latest book entitled Planet Middle School. There's a picture there on the screen put out by Revell, which is a division of Baker Books. Let me encourage you to check it out at the stores. Get a copy of this if you have kids in middle school, helping you through peer pressure and awkward moments and emotional drama and all the things. And I just am honored to have him with us today. He's comfortable enough with us here at the Dove that he's let us interview him laid back in his recliner with his Arizona Wildcat sweatshirt on, his ball cap. He's recovering from knee surgery, and he just drank coffee out of a little princess cup.
Oh, you saw my princess cup. I was wondering if you would see that. Yeah, you know what? Here, the truth of the matter is my baseball cap. Now, this is how much confidence I have in Perry Atkinson and the people at theDove, and I love these guys. If you had a close-up of my hat, you would see that it says the Fat Chick Magnet. and you are looking at the Fat Chick Magnet. I am the captain of the Fat Chick Magnet. It's my patio boat, my, what do you call them? Patio boats. What else do you call those boats?
Patio boats, yeah.
Yeah, it's 25 foot long, and it's got 12-inch letters down the side of it that says the Fat Chick Magnet. It's the name of my boat. And so we have a lot of fun with that. And, of course, some people are a little insulted over the Fat Chick thing. It's really sort of a reflection of me because, take a look at me, I'm like a beached whale here in my chair. But anyway, the Lemans have always had fun. And I think so many times when you hear people of faith, they sound like a bunch of stuffed shirts. And this leads to the book, Planet Middle School, which I think is probably one of the best titles I ever thought of. It's analogous to the book Sheet Music. I think Sheet Music is probably one of the more inventive titles I ever came up with. But again, when you think of Planet Middle School, here's a question for all of you parents. And Perry, I'd love to know your answer to this question. Do you and Peggy hang out with people that you feel uncomfortable with?
I try to avoid it.
Yeah, like the plague. I mean, there's people we see coming, and we walk the other side of the street because they're just too much. Well, here's the question, parents, for you that have middle schoolers. Are your kids comfortable hanging out with you? See, if they're not going to hang out with you. And so why not make your home the centerpiece of the kid's life? You want to raise a homie. You want a kid who feels comfortable in their home. So you buy the pizza. You're a little suspect about some of the friends your kids are hanging out with. What better way to get to know them to invite them into your home? Do you see what I'm saying? Don't fight this thing. Kids are social beings. They're breaking away from you, and there's times in their life they don't even admit that they have a parent. But you have to consider what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to tell you something that I think is downright profound, and I'll ask it, or I'll tell you in question form. Who is the one person that your kid does not want to be during ages 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade? So who is the one person your son or daughter doesn't want to be during these years? Answer, again, if you're driving, hang on the wheel, anybody but themselves. They don't want to be themselves. And they're so riddled with peer pressure. They want to fit in. And if you don't fit in, you get ridiculed. And so you had said before break that these kids are facing things that we never face, and that's true. And if you think, parent, that you can keep up with the technology that your 6th, 7th, and 8th graders have mastery over, let me tell you, you are either naive, you are either dumb, or downright stupid, because they will always be ahead of you on this. There is a thing called fake calculator, for example. Fake calculator allows you to hide things from your parents that they cannot see.
Yeah.
And yet when you look at what they're doing, you see a calculator and you say, oh, we are so lucky, Roger. Our son Robert is doing his math. No, actually, he's hiding a pornographic site from you.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, the new Goliath is the smartphone. And you are the parents who were so smart, and I say this saying you're literally stupid, that you were the ones that gave the kids smartphones in the 3rd and 4th and 5th grade. Just what is wrong with you? You need to have a conversation with yourself. So you brought the Trojan horse into your home, and now you're trying to figure out what to do with it. So it all gets back not to rules, but relationships you have with your kids. Honest communication about some things are good for you, honey, in life, and some things are bad. And we are not going to be your best friend, but we are going to do our best to be a great parent.
All right, Kevin, two hot topics in a short amount of time. Sex and faith during this time. How do you deal with it?
I love sex, and I love faith. Next question. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. You want a more detailed response. Remember, I'm the guy that wrote the book, Sex Begins in the Kitchen.
Yeah, right.
Because there's company in the living room. So I say any opportunity, take advantage of it, folks. Now,
okay.
Here's the problem with sexting, texting, and everything that's available to kids today. It's scary. Kids are growing up way too fast. So parents, you're going to have to stand up and be a parent. Again, you don't have to be your child's best friend. They have plenty of friends. They don't need another friend. They need you to be the parent. So when your kid says, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, there are certain things in life that are just socially inappropriate for young kids to do. And so do you have that barometer in your mind? Do you have the courage to say, honey, we're not going there? And I think what you do is you grant in fantasy what you can't in reality. Honey, that would be really sweet for you to travel 90 miles to hear that concert. But quite frankly, we can't afford to do that right now. We'd love to afford you that opportunity, but maybe sometime in the future. But unfortunately, it's not going to work for us now. We appreciate your understanding. In other words, you draw the lines. I'm not taking all the lines away from you parents, because parents want to have power. They want to feel like they have great authority. And I want to give you that authority. I just don't want to turn you into an authoritarian. Because if you're an authoritarian and you just live by the rules, I guarantee you the kids are going to rebel right underneath your nose.
All right, Faith, a lot of parents are frustrated that their kids just seem to be running away from their parents' faith.
Well, they do. And here's the kicker. When your kid comes up, and listen, I've got 5 kids. I've got one of my kids right now who will remain nameless, okay? But she is the youngest of the 5. She's 23. Perry, you would be astounded what this kid knows. She is so smart. And I have become stupid as a dumb rock. Mm-hmm. We had a conversation about evolution recently where, well, it's a good thing I didn't have my bow and arrow with me when we had it. Let's just leave it at that. And how she comes up with some of these things. But what I've learned to do as a parent is I've learned to say, interesting. Wow. Wow, I've never thought about it that way. Now listen, here are the words. Tell me more about that. It's not criticizing her. It's not putting her down. It's tell me, honey, I'm interested in what you think. Now this is the art form here in parenting for parents who are reading Planet Middle School. There is an art form. How do you draw kids into conversation without putting them down? Here's something interesting. I wrote a delightful book called Have a New Husband by Friday.
Right.
I happen to know that Peggy has read that book over and over and over again. And she reports she is still stuck with you. I want to make this clear. But in that book, I say, think of your husband as a 4-year-old that shaves. And I point out in Planet Middle School that the basic needs for us men, to be needed, to be wanted, and to be respected, are the same basic things that your 6th, 7th, and 8th grader son or daughter needs from you. So parents, adults, men, us men hate questions. Kids hate questions. Husbands hate the Y word. Middle school kids hate the Y word. So try not to ask your kids questions, but try to put yourself in a position where when your kid says something really stupid, okay, that you don't just shut them down, but say, honey, wow, interesting. Just like I tell women, when your husband says something really stupid, just look at him and say, wow, fascinating. Now you can be thinking, Perry, you're an idiot. Just don't say it, Peggy. Just keep it to yourself. Don't look for trouble.
Well, this is fascinating, an incredible resource. Again, it's called Planet Middle School. Look for it at Evangel. They're at Christian Discounts Books. You can certainly look for it online. I can't help but say this is probably one of the most resourceful books that Kevin has ever written. I don't know what's on your horizon, what you're doing. What you got anything in the works?
Yeah, you know, my trilogy, it's a 3-part fiction series. Book 2 comes out in March, called A Powerful Secret. And book 1, quite frankly, has sort of stayed in many ways, and it lays out this firstborn Washington Kennedy-like family with the aspirations of the firstborn. In the second-born book, to put it bluntly, all the wheels fall off this very liberal Kennedy-like family. And it's a page-turner. That comes out in March. The 3rd book comes out in September before the election. Again, it was written with a guy his office was in the White House. So we've combined our talents. Book 2 really rocks and rolls. Book 3 is wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the next book up is Have a New Sex Life by Friday. Now, I understand my wife has secured an attorney, and she's trying to get an injunction against getting that book released, but I don't think she's going to succeed. The publisher has many more lawyers than Mrs. Uppington, so we're going to see what happens.
All right, one more shot. Your cruise coming up, those who want to join you.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we have 2 cruises, actually. We have one in February, which is the Wit and Wisdom Cruise. You only have until November 26th to get your deposit in, or you will not be with us. It's wonderful. We go down to St. Martin, which is one of the beautiful spots in the Eastern Caribbean, on a beautiful ship on Holland, America. It's just a great time of relaxation. Dr. Tim Kimmel was with me, a wonderful speaker, and the funniest man alive, Dennis Swanberg. And, of course, Sherry Keggy is our musician on that cruise. But we'd love to have you. I'd love people from the Dove. If people show up from the Dove, you're just going to get a lot of love just because you're from the Dove. It's such a great place, and we're just great to partner with you. We also have a cruise in January for those of you who think, oh, I could never afford that. That cruise starts at $995 a person. We have a cruise that you can get on for $569, and it leaves the 9th of January. We back the 16th. We stop down in Puerto Rico, and then down into the Grand Cayman area, still the Eastern Caribbean beautiful. And you can get information on that at birthorderguy.com, birthorderguy.com. Or you can always call our office in Tucson, which is 520-797-3830. And Debbie will answer your questions about that. So again, it's just great to be with you guys again. I feel such at peace and at home with you guys. Probably too much, but I love you guys.
We love you, and you know, for being still on an anesthetic and a handful of painkillers, you actually made sense this morning.
Hey, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Say hi to Sandy. Give her a big hug for us, okay?
Hey, sure will. Thanks, Perry.
All right, there you go. Dr. Kevin Leman. We'll be right back.